Your credentials are... Jaylen Brown confronts Stephen A. Smith 5 months after questioning his journalistic integrity. State your source. Jaylen Brown did not have to say anything more than these 3 words to provide a counterpoint in his months-long feud with ESPN's Stephen A. Smith. It all started back in May when the sportscaster highlighted a quote by an undisclosed source, which stated Jaylen Brown, "It's not so much that he is underrated, it's that he's just not liked because of his 'I am better than you' attitude. He knows it. It's the same reason he is not as marketable as he should be." With ample support from fans and former players, the Celtics champion was able to defend himself by claiming that there was no source and that Smith has hiding behind his own beliefs through an undisclosed or imaginative entity. 5 months later, the duo finally came face-to-face in a possible attempt to put the issue to bed. With just a few hours remaining before the Celtics season opener and their highly anticipated ring night event, Jaylen Brown appeared as a guest on Stephen A. Smith's long-running show. Once again donning the "state your source," the duo jumped right into the issue within the initial minutes. After having questioned the legitimacy of his sources a couple of months ago, Brown made it clear that the attack wasn't focused on Smith's entire legacy. As he stated, obviously, "Your credentials are through the roof, covering AI, to First Takes being the #1 show, and now taking the world by storm with your new podcast. So, I wore this shirt, but I know just because of your credentials that you're never going to reveal sources, because you abide by something called journalistic integrity." Despite this, the player wanted the host to hear him out, since it was his belief that there was more to journalistic integrity than simply protecting your sources. 1, I didn't really get a chance to defend myself, and 2, the damage kind of already is done, and I think journalistic integrity goes 2 ways, said Brown as Smith agreed to the assessment. So, for me, I think a lot of people were upset, and as was I, because I understand journalistic integrity, and I understand how that works, but I also understand the idea of normal integrity as well, and I also want to maintain and protect that. Brown's belief in regards to normal integrity led him to question Stephen A. Smith on his practices as a journalist, especially on whether the latter carries any dissension in the decision he makes. The sportscaster denied the same, revealing that he considers himself to be a humane and fair individual. The belief that he promoted about Brown, according to Smith, came from the unnamed source through a text message, which was also backed by the same claim that others had said it as well. In light of this, the 57-year-old made it clear that whatever opinion the sources had come out to bring to him was not something that he believed in personally. "What I was trying to say was this brother is great, he's great on the basketball court, he's great off the basketball court, he's an individual of very high integrity, highly educated, who most those people that you encounter considers you nothing short of brilliant, and yet these opportunities, that clearly you are deserving of and should be afforded to you is not," said Smith. And so, when I brought that up, I literally get a text in the middle of the show, and immediately after the show I got 3 separate phone calls, and they were like, "Yo, this guy is not liked by some of the powers that be because he's smart, because he's outspoken, because he's principled, and he's defiant, and he's not easily manipulated. These are things that are costing him." I didn't look at it as something that was smearing your character. I looked at it as individuals basically pointing out that you're not liked. Not being liked by big powers is an issue that Jaylen Brown already has been bringing to the forefront since the last couple of months. Most notable was his public tweets that reportedly took a shot at Nike for allegedly playing a role in keeping him out of the Team USA lineup for the 2024 Paris Olympics. For now, the 2024 Finals MVP was willing to give Smith the benefit of the doubt and put the long-running feud with him to rest. However, this still didn't stop him from putting to bed any new or existing issues with the source, highlighting details of his offseason. Jaylen Brown uses Stephen A. Smith to send a message to the source. "I think it's cowardice." In the later part of the episode, Jaylen Brown decided to directly address the person/people who had come forward to give their opinion to Stephen A. Smith. Whether to make them jealous or simply highlight just how unbothered he was, the 27-year-old described just how good of a summer he had. From going to different places around the world to finally fulfilling his goal of setting a Black Wall Street, Brown was crossing off things on his bucket list during his free time. Along with letting the sources know this crucial detail, he wanted to address them directly with Stephen A. Smith sitting across from him. After all, the sportscaster was the only one amongst the duo who was aware of his/her/their identity. "I Basically wanted to say to them that I think it's cowardice, said Brown. I think historically, unnamed sources have attacked some of our greats, and we are not responsible for what they lack in design. Frankly, they can call all their buddies, their pals, and, friends from all over the world, all the unnamed sources, and they can shove it where they got it from. Whether they think I'm marketable or not, I walk with God, I'm a be me, and stand with my community in this life and the next. And that's my journalistic integrity.